Hey guys, just a quick look at these LEDs that I got recently from Make My LEDs. I got four 5-foot units, run at 48 watts. Got three 12k and no, I didn't. I got three 10k lights and a 12k, and one of the 10ks and the 12k is going to go onto my bottom tank here, which is my trophy. It's going to be my trophies tank, and my planted tank up the top is going to get the two 10ks. The kit comes with, I've got two sets of stand holders for the lights. I've got the 4 light units, I've got the power supply, and I also got the time controller, so I'll eventually get some blue lights and have a night cycle on this as well. We'll start with the power unit. There's not really much you can say about power units. It's a 220 watt power unit. It's big enough to do 5 lights. I normally judge power units by weight. There's not really much else you can do with it, but it's quite a nice heavy, reasonably heavy sort of power supply unit. Has the 2 connections to plug into my controller, which leads me onto the controller. This is the day-night controller. Basically, you can program that to dim the lights up and down to whatever increments you like. I have to make sure that people know there's a power unit on the back here, and apparently that's for low power lights. These are not low power lights, and it's got 2 connections here, 2 connections off the power supply unit, and both those units, both these plugs have to be plugged in to generate the power for your lights. If you only plug in one of these will get really hot, and then it'll expand your joints here, and it'll start slopping around, and then your lights start flashing and carrying on. So just be aware that when you plug in, both those power points have to be plugged in. These ones here that come off it, there's 5 of them. They plug into the ends of your lights, so you've got 5 channels to control basically. And when you go into the software, you can actually control each channel individually. For me, I'm going to have 4 lights, 2 on each tank, and on my 5th channel here, I'm going to get a splitter, and I'm going to split them into 2 moon lights. So I'm going to have 4 lights and 2 moon lights off there. But there's not really much else I can show you about the controller. I'll show you how to program that in a little bit. Now then, we come on to these stand holders. They're made out of perspex. They've just got a couple of clips in here that the lights sit on. They seem quite firm, riveted on the bottom, and they can spin around, so you can adjust your light a little bit. There's slots on the bottom here, gives you a little bit of adjustment. And that's it. I've got 4 of those. Obviously they go like that, 1 on each end, and hang on there, but you'll see a bit later. Oh, you can see on this, in fact, it's already got 2 in there. My centre one's going to have my blue light eventually, so I'll just split them apart and have the blue one in the middle. Which leads me on to the lights. These are the light units. They're 5 foot long. I've got a plastic casing. I've got like a fake aluminium sort of backing on it. made out of plastic. First thing I noticed when I picked them up is how light they are. They're, I mean, really, really light. And they've just got the LEDs down there, and each, I think it's 9 LEDs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in fact. There's an LED controller. And I believe each foot roughly equates to about 9 watts. There's about 45 watts of globe. And there's not really much else to say. It's just like basically a strip of LEDs that have been put into a plastic casing and had some end caps put on it. The one thing I would have liked on these is it comes with a metre of lead, but my 8-footer, and in fact even this 2-tiered tank that I've got, is just, this lead is just a little bit short, and I did buy extension leads for it, but I mean that lead could have just been another half a metre longer, another 500mm longer, and it just solves a lot of dramas. I would have just rather have paid for a bit longer lead than have to buy extension leads and stuff. It's just sounds a bit funny, you know. Anyway, so I've got 3 10k units and a 12k unit. I don't know how to separate them. I've got the order, and in all honesty, there's nothing on the plastic coverings, so I have to ring up Fred to get an idea how I can tell which is what. I had a bit of a delivery problem. I ordered these through the end of the year financial sale they had, and had 15% off, and somehow or other my order got forgotten, but once Fred was made aware of it, he actually overnighted them to me, so I can't complain about the service. The service was really good. It comes with a little micro, the controller comes with a little micro disc. My DVD burner wouldn't read it for some reason, but if you have any problems, you can go onto his website, which is makemyled.com.au. If you go /downloads/pled.zip, that will give you the software that you need straight off his website. And I think that's about it, really. I'm going to go and do a quick video of how to control these units with the controller, and then I'm going to pop them on my tank and actually show you what's going on. There was another problem I had with this controller here. There was a couple of problems I had with the controller. You can plug a USB port in, which is what I'll do in a minute, but if you connect this USB port up into the USB port here, connect that into your computer, and then you plug the power supply in to generate the power, you'll develop a short circuit, and this is what happened with me, and it fried my motherboard. It cost me a couple $100 to replace my motherboard, so that was a bit of a drama. It also fried my my controller here, but Fred looked after me with that, so that wasn't too much of a drama. But you have to be really aware. Do not, in any circumstances, plug this into your computer, this into your controller, and then plug in the power. You have to plug the power in first, and then once you've got the power on, you can then plug the USB into here and then the USB into your computer. That's a safe way of doing it. Not the other way around. You will fry your USB ports on your computer if you do that, because it happened to me. First-hand experience. I had one other problem here. I don't know if you can see that, but these connections here, I mean, are of incredibly fine wire, like, you know, it's just a couple of these little bits of wire pulled out on me. I haven't been throwing these around much, or at all, but I mean, I have had to move it from here to there and stuff, and anyway, a couple of these are pulled off. Now, my hands and my patience, I mean, you know, I was going to make a video of me trying to put these cables back, because, you know, you would have got a laugh from the cursing and swearing that was coming out of me, trying to, you know, I mean, I need microscopic hands to do that, but anyway, I did it. But that's just another thing to be careful of. You just need to be really careful how you handle this, so you don't start pulling wires and stuff apart. And I think the next bit we'll go on to programming it. So we'll see you in a bit. Okay guys, here we are. Just going to show you a bit of this software. But I just want to go through this, connecting this up again. Basically, you have to do this in this order. If you don't do it in this order, you run the risk of blowing up your USB port controller on your motherboard. So first of all, power unit is the main power supply. That gets plugged in first into your power cords. Excuse the mess down there. Then you get your two plugs, and you join those two plugs together from your power supply up to the controller unit. Once you've done that, you can get the USB port, and then you can connect your USB port up into your USB port. If you do it the other way around, if you plug this in from back to front, so if you plug your USB port in to your controller and then down to your power unit and then into your main power supply, you have a high risk of blowing up your ports, and like I said, I can testify to that happening, because it just cost me several $100s for a new motherboard, but that's another story. Now here we are with the software. Basically it's a pretty simple setup. There's certainly nothing fancy about it, but what I do is I start a package. Not sure whether you can see what I'm doing there or not. I start a new package, and then where it says package name there, I call it something. So we'll just call this, you know, test planted tank. Excuse my wobbling around because I've only got two hands. Press OK. So that's up the top here, that's named the file, the test planted tank.pmf. I go to mode list, and that brings up mode 1, and then you can come over and right click and press edit. And what I do is, if I want to say I want to brighten the lights and then dim them over the course of 10 hours, and I want to do it 10 times, I'll press add 10 times, and then you can see each time I press it that another dialog box comes up. 910, and basically that gives you your 10 control points basically. I'm not sure what the limit is on this, but you probably wouldn't want to go too many on it. And I also work from the back, so I'll go from number 10 down to 1. I just find it be a little bit easier, but each to their own. So 10 o'clock, what happens when you edit those, if you want to edit your last point, you double click on it and it brings up this dialog box. So So first thing I do is I set, you can see that it says 10 up the top there. You can double click on any of them and it'll change your number there. It's pretty straightforward. But 10, I set the time first. So if I want it to turn off at say 6 o'clock, that'd be 18. Oh. Down to 18.0. Righto, and at 6 o'clock I want it to be at, I don't know, 25%? 25%. You can change each of my 4 channels. You can have up to 5, but I've only got 4. So change them all to 25. You can use sliders here if that's the way you like to do things. I think they're a bit fiddly myself, but so basically that's all your settings in, and you just push that, and if you look over here, the number 10 spot is 6 o'clock at 25% of your power output. Then you double click on 9 and change that to 5 o'clock, which is 1700. I'm not going to change the minutes, I can't be bothered. But at 1700 you might want it at 35%. So change those down to 35, 35, 35. And there you go, at 17 minutes past 5, your light will be at 35% brightness. But I'm just going to fill out the rest of them and I'll come back in a second. Righto guys, well here we are back on my computer here, and you can see that I've filled out everything that I need to. Basically at 8 o'clock in the morning, 10 past 8, it comes on, starts at 0%, which is completely off, but at 11 minutes past 8 you got 1%. I'll show you how it works in the light in a sec. 9 o'clock is 40%, 10 o'clock is 50, and then it goes up to 100% at lunchtime. All the way back down to 0%. It's 0% at 5 o'clock because that's off. So between 4 and 5 o'clock it'll go from 10% down to 0%. 0%'s off, so that's why you set the last one at 0. You can set the first one at 0 as well, because that's on, and that'll just phase up over the hour up to 41%. Once you've done that and you've got everything filled in, you go up to here and it says download all mode to module. You click that and it will download, and it should say down the bottom download success. And once all that's done, it's all ready to go, and this has a playback mode on it. You can play back by 1, 2, 4, 8 or 256 times the speed. You can loop it, I'm not going to bother with it, and when you push play you can see the numbers changing, and it'll just keep on progressively going up over the course of the hour, and that's how it works basically. When it gets up to, oh, I'm not sure what happened there, but the numbers skipped a little bit, but that's generally how it works. I'll just stop this and I'll show you how it looks on the actual light system. So we'll just turn around. Have to excuse my mess, as per usual. I'm not really organised for it, but here we go. So this starts at 0%, and hopefully you'll see the ramp up It's at 20% now. That's at 35%. As you can see, that's 50%. It's pretty hard to see the increments go up on the light because I mean, we're only talking about percentages, but so we're up to close to 100%. That's 90% there. That's 100%. As you can see, it's very difficult to see a percentage from 90 to 89%. It's almost impossible, but you know, I'm just giving you a bit of a demo. You can notice it a bit more when it starts getting a bit lower. But we're at 60% there. What do you reckon, Kramer? Hey, it's a good life, isn't it, mate? Hey, what do you reckon, Hazel? Oh, you're gonna bump my table. Hello. Yes, I know you're a rat bag. Oh, here we go. We can see the light incrementing down. So that's 8%. And then we're off. So that's basically what the software does. A bit of a demonstration on the light up and down, fading up and down, but we'll stick it on the tank now and have a quick look. See how we go. See you in a tick. Okay guys, here we are on my 8 footer. Just going to turn these lights on. The two lights that are on here at the moment are two 4-foot Works lights that I've got off Age of Aquariums. They were only 120 bucks each. Two 4-footers LEDs. I think they're about 48 watts as well, so it's pretty similar. And they've been doing me okay, but that's what it is. You can see there. Excuse these. I'm seating these two filters here for my other tank, so it's a bit messy. So basically, what I'll do is I'll turn these lights off. Got to remember that these are only 5-foot lights as well. They're not spanning my whole tank, but if you look in the centre of the tank, you know, within the first 5 feet of the tank, it'll give you an idea of how bright these are. Alright, so that's off. Turn that one off. And we'll plug in the lights. Sure why they flash a few times, maybe, I don't know, I'm still getting used to these things. One of my joints here possibly. There we go. I'm not sure why it's doing that. I must admit I've been having a few problems with these lights since I've got them, but I mean, once they light up, they look great. Obviously the end of the tanks are a little bit dark, but they're 90-degree lights, so they're just straight up and down. They don't have a wide field of view, field of lighting. But one thing I have noticed when I have had these lights on is when the whole tank is lit up well, it brings all the fish up to the top. They tend to use a lot more of the tank. and I really like the way they utilise that. But I'll turn the ends lights on as well. This is with everything on. And it looks quite nice. But there's a lot of power being drawn out of here as well with all that lighting. You know, there's almost 200 watts with the Make My LED globes, plus there's another 100 roughly at the back with the little works ones that I got off Age Aquariums. But you know, I mean, I like the lights. I've had a few hiccups. You know, that's the one thing with these things. And for 600 bucks, you know, I don't know. I'll probably get some blue ones, and I'll probably finish the set off so I can get some moon lights. The biggest selling point of this for me was the fact that you can have a day-night cycle. If it wasn't for the day-night cycle, I would, you know, I don't know. The lights are light. I mean, they're plastic. They're good lights. The day-night cycle sells it for me. And the other thing I did, you know, I have to point out now as well is, when these are just clear tubes basically. So when you stand back, you can really see the lights, and you have to have them pointing backwards, and the back of the light facing, you know, towards where you're looking. Otherwise, all you're doing is looking at LED lights shining in your eyes. So I don't know. There's things to. I mean, there's pluses and minuses to this setup, in my opinion. I think I paid, even with my 15% discount, it was over $600 bucks, and I just don't really know whether I can justify $600 for the lights. I've had other LEDs before. These ones have 3 watt LEDs in them, and the previous lights I've had have been 5 watt LEDs, and there's quite a bit of difference. Obviously there's going to be a power jump as well, but you know, these are what they are. They're 3 watt LEDs. I don't think they're really spectacular, and I don't think they underperform either. I just think they are doing exactly what they are. They're 3 watt LEDs encased in a plastic casing. I can't really comment too much on the power supply. I don't know. It hasn't blown up. It hasn't given me any reason to complain about it. And the day-night controller, I mean, is that worth $650 odd? I don't know. But we'll see how these last. So I'll get the blue ones sent over, and I'll get at least my 2 tanks set up with the day-night cycle, and I'll have a play around with it, and in the future make up my mind to see whether it's worth doing my 8-footer. There's going to be another $600 or $700 there, but we'll see. Hopefully it'll get better than the run I've had so far, but anyway, I'll leave it there. Alrighty guys, see ya.